Story 1. I'll try to humanize the experience a bit. Waking up with superhuman powers means I have to relearn everything. After sending my alarm clock to Saturn, I'd quickly need to learn how to take control of my newfound strength. No accidentally turning people's hands into burgers every time I shake them. Flying. I need to learn that quickly and figure out how to land without leaving a crater big enough to establish a new national park. Laser eyes and X-ray vision. I can't sneeze and destroy an entire mall, but I guess I'll learn as I go along. Cold breath is mediocre. Story 2. Well, the powers of a god come with a great deal of responsibility. I will be busy for a while addressing the causes of the climate crisis, freezing the poles, digging wells for people in drought areas, feeding those who are starving, housing the unhoused, cleaning up trash and pollution, achieving complete nuclear disarmament, dismantling war machines, dealing with tyrants, oppressors, dictators, fascists, and white supremacists, and more. Yes, I will be busy before I can take a break. There is a lot that needs to be fixed. Story 3. I am holding leaders accountable for their roles and how they serve the public. If you refuse to lower prices while making record profits, you will face consequences. Want to deny healthcare for profit? That won't be acceptable. If you choose to represent corporations over the people who elected you, it's time for change. I believe it will take about a week to restore balance. Story 4. If I answered honestly, I would be banned from Reddit. The list is long and everything would be done publicly. The world would cheer for justice. Story 5. Save lives and stop wars. I am not sure how I would go about doing that, but it would be nice to bring peace to those who need it most. Story 6. End every war on the planet. Eliminate all cartels. Give Trump, Putin, and Kim 24 hours to resign. Otherwise, consequences will follow. Story 7. Find my glasses and search for what Superman's powers are. Then overthink everything for a month while in a catatonic state. Story 8. I will send some world leaders to a place where they must relearn what it means to be an ordinary human. To find food, seek shelter, survive in war-torn areas, suffer injustice, and face discrimination. This experience will help them regain their humanity and consider the welfare and lives of ordinary people in their decision-making. Story 9. I need not only his powers but also his incorruptibility. Otherwise, I would become like Brightburn because human nature. Story 10. Superman was lawful good. I would be chaotic neutral. Until I got bored, I would spend my time making life shorter for everyone who willfully makes other people's lives miserable, starting first with those who have the greatest influence. Story 11. If I am answering this truthfully, I would likely topple our current administration and then become the leader of the planet. Story 12. I fly around the Earth fast enough to rewind time and warn a man about his wife's cancer before it's too late. Story 13. I like to think I would be like Clark, but I am fairly sure I would become Homelander over time. Absolute power corrupts and all. Story 14. People here are thinking small. I am crafting my own flag and planting it on the moon and every planet in the solar system. Story 15. The first thing I might do is accidentally cause a fire in my house and harm several people, not realizing I have laser heat vision. Story 16. I want to show off to my grandkids and carry all 3 of them at the same time. The 2 boys are in high school, and my granddaughter is in middle school. I might pick up the couch and then the car, probably running around with them in my arms. However, I might not do all of that because I don't want people to see me and notice, calling me a freak. I'm already considered weird enough as it is. Story 17. Send Trump, Musk, and the rest of the Republican leadership to Mars. That's where they want to go anyway. Story 18. I probably should not have that power. Even if I make the world better, I would have committed so much murder that religious extremists would claim it was the rapture. Story 19. If a person can fly around the world in an instant, one must wonder what a personal experience of self-pleasure might be like. Story 20. The war in Ukraine ends with a surprising and violent Ukrainian victory after Vladimir Putin and all the Russian troops suddenly and mysteriously become 1 foot shorter. Story 21. Exploring the universe to discover new worlds. assisting only with global-scale problems like earthquakes and fires. Military and political issues will not be addressed. Story 22. Visit Ukraine. Test my abilities on Ukrainian land that is currently occupied. Story 23. Tomorrow I will fly around and get a feel for my power. After that, I may start contacting certain heads of state. Story 24. I would likely go on a spree to eliminate as many unpleasant people as possible before someone stops me. I would also travel to a place that sells soup dumplings. I have never tried them, but I am convinced they are delicious. Story 25. Lots of these statements suggest a desire to harm individuals that one dislikes. It seems that these individuals resemble Homelander more than Superman. Story 26. Make a quick trip around the world to address the issue of authoritarian regimes that the world faces. Peace in our time. Story 27. Fly to Russia, pick up Vladimir Putin, fly him to the White House, and make a statement about the state of world affairs. During a press conference, I will express that significant changes are about to occur, and these changes will not affect those in lower socioeconomic positions. I anticipate that after some notable changes, people will begin to act more responsibly, and many of the world's problems will start to resolve themselves. Story 28. Depending on the version of Superman we are discussing, I might need some time to get accustomed to my powers before I venture out into the world and use them practically. Story 29. Leave Earth in hopes of finding life elsewhere, then return to Earth to live a normal life. You may do this often. Story 30. Look up the winning lottery numbers from tonight's draw, turn back the Earth a day so I can buy the winning ticket, and then test out all the powers in a safe environment where I can't harm people, animals, nature, or property. Once I've figured out all the powers, I would pay a few visits to landmarks and landscapes I've always wanted to see without having to pay for airfare, making travel time much shorter. The lottery winnings would not only keep me financially stable, as I would only keep a small portion, but I could also help many friends and family get out of debt or acquire their first homes. There are other things I would like to do as well, but I believe in democracy and do not wish to suggest hypothetical actions on a monitored public platform. Story 31. I will do as much good as I can. Some of that is subjective, but if I were that strong, I would want the world to be a better place. Story 32. If you asked 10-year-old me, I really wanted to buy the X-ray glasses advertised in the comics, but I ordered the Charles Atlas materials instead. I figured that if I built muscle, I would see them for real. Atlas sent me some items, but he never did send the muscles. Story 33. Go to the United Nations and say the following. I want zero poverty, wars, segregation, and racism in the world by the end of next year. I don't care how you do it, but do it in the best way possible. If you are a world leader and don't think you can achieve this, or at least help, resign now. If you don't achieve it by the end of the given time, resign then, and the people of your country should elect a new representative to try and do so. Anyone who refuses to comply or hinders the process will face consequences. Anyone who speaks publicly against this directive will face consequences. I don't have to tell anyone what to do specifically. The world produces enough resources to sustain a comfortable life for everyone. There is just a lack of will among those with political power to make that happen. With that addressed, the method for achieving this can be figured out in no time. In fact, the theory of how to do it has been developed in many ways by many different people, but not by those with the power to implement it globally. Story 34. Crime is likely, but not all details are clear. I will probably end up on a list or two. However, since I have abilities, those trying to harm me would just assume they made a mistake. Story 35. Definitely not flying. I would be the worst Superman to ever exist. I hate heights and especially flying. If I were to see Green Lantern flying, I would say no way. I'm taking the bus to where a villain is destroying the town. Story 36. Stop Russia's war against Ukraine and end Putin. Maybe stop by the United States and throw Trump into the ocean as well. Story 37. Immediately, I would probably fly around and see some sights I have always wanted to see and visit friends. After I have had my fun exploring my abilities, I would gather a group of people I trust most, with differing moral perspectives, to keep me grounded and guide me on what I should do. We would make plans for how to improve the world together. Story 38. Behead dictators and those who aspire to dictatorship. I too will be a dictator in that regard, so when the job is done, I will behead myself as well. Story 39. Eliminate all dictators, Nazis, and fascists in the world. Then return home and resume regular life as the world resolves itself. Story 40. Probably going back to bed. What is anyone going to do to stop me? I'm not going to pretend I'm moral enough or wise enough to change the world for the better. But I can think of a few changes that probably won't make anything worse that I could try. Maybe I could start my own space company, just launching satellites into orbit and similar activities, charging much less than SpaceX. I would definitely check out Venus and Mars. It would be fun to zip around the solar system at basically light speed and see some sights without negative repercussions. Story 41. Setting up a fortress of solitude. Then flying to the White House and the Kremlin to uplift a pair of troublesome individuals and taking them there, then leaving them there. Story 42. Go take a moment at the edge of space to clear my mind a bit, assuming I can use every ability fresh out of the box. Story 43. I will encourage the leadership to start making improvements for the vast majority promptly. Story 44. Don't tell anyone, but I plan to walk onto a college football team at nearly 40 years old and become a star. I will get drafted #1 overall. Profit. There is something else I would do, but I don't want to end up on any lists. Story 45. Figure out how to hide my identity before taking any significant actions. My weakness would be my loved ones, and I must either conceal them or protect them in some way. Additionally, superpowers do not solve everything, as illustrated in the comic Strong Female Protagonist. There would still be suffering in the world, and people would still be corrupt. It would simply introduce another flawed superpower, one that did not achieve its abilities by taking advantage of others. Story 46. Fly to Mount Everest. I want a destination to try out my powers, but also a place that doesn't have a lot of people to see me crash land or discover my secret identity. Sure, there are people on Mount Everest, but they would never believe it. Story 47. 3 malevolent individuals with malicious intentions are causing trillions in destruction and thousands of deaths for nothing more than a personal twisted ideology. We must take action to save the world. Story 48. I would be the world government police. The Geneva Convention and human rights are mandatory. The Hague is in full effect. Let people govern themselves, but if you see inhumane treatment, just call. Additionally, aggressive wars and special military operations must end immediately. If you insist on using military force to resolve a conflict, define a zone, evacuate all civilians, and engage in combat. Story 49. I would live stream to the world a flight above and around the Earth and both poles to silence the ice wall and inner Earthers. Story 50. First, fly around for a while. Then, ensure that no child ever goes to sleep hungry again. There is a complex process involved, but that is the general idea. Story 51. Probably fly off somewhere secluded to try to train myself to use those powers if I can properly fly. That is, you said I have Superman's powers. That doesn't mean I have his control. I can literally break someone's hand accidentally with a handshake. Story 52. Powers. Huh? I will probably continue to go to work, but I'd start keeping tabs on many things, listening and observing. I will get rich by certain means. Information is power, after all. I want to travel around the world a bit and see different places. Story 53. As a demonstration of my power, I would live stream myself eating a bomb. This would be followed by an ultimatum. The world has 365 days to stop all this nonsense, or I will do it for you. I will not dictate and I will not destroy. You will have the free will of the people, but like a father who has listened to his children fight in the back of a car for too long, I will stop this and turn the car around. The world will be tasked with coming up with a list of non-negotiables and will be expected to follow them. Story 54. Do nothing much, just enrich myself. Superman might have powers, but powers alone do not buy a 20-room mansion. Oh, and yes, I would take Trump, Putin, Musk, and Vance to the moon and leave them there without any spacesuits or breathing apparatus. Story 55. Be justice, Superman, and unify the world under one banner. No more borders. We are one Earth, united under my iron fist. Everyone receives free healthcare. Everyone receives free education. War is banned. Slavery is banned. And everyone can move and live anywhere on Earth without tedious requirements. Put all scientific minds to focus on terraforming technology to fix the Earth, then direct our attention to interstellar travel. Our destiny is not limited to this Earth. Our destiny is to conquer the stars. Story 56. I would love to say I would be just like Superman, noble and heroic, stopping crimes and wars. But I know that the first time someone frustrates me, I would be more like Homelander and use my heat vision against them. I also suspect my level of competency with my newfound powers would resemble Hancock's. I would stop the bank robber who stole $10,000 but end up causing millions in damage in the process. Story 57. I open Man of Steel construction and build skyscrapers alone without cranes. I can weld with my eyes. I could build more affordable housing than anyone for less. Additionally, many criminals could receive X-rays for stage 4 cancer. Wasn't me. Story 58. I wouldn't want that, to be honest. I don't want that level of responsibility. With my personality, I would feel responsible for not helping when needed, which would mean I would have to give up my life and do this nonstop. Story 59. I have many wealthy individuals and world leaders to launch into space. Then I suppose I gradually succumb to a struggle against going mad with power. Story 60. Select someone, probably Elon Musk, to humble. I wouldn't turn him into a diamond or split him in half. There's no lesson in that. I would likely try to help him reach Mars so he could realize that his dream of colonizing that planet isn't really feasible and, honestly, is somewhat misguided. I would also annoy him continuously until he chose to mind his own business, and no one could stop me. I would gently poke him repeatedly during his board meetings. I would knock on the outside of his jet to wake him up, ensuring he notices the drawing I made on his window while he was flying to and from Mar-a-Lago. I would tell him I used my X-ray vision on him and that the lump is cancer. I would rearrange satellites so they resemble skywriting as they move through the night sky. The phrase "eat dirt" Elon one night could transform into glory to Ukraine. The next, the kind of petty, vindictive trolling he engages in, but on a much larger scale. Story 61. Take control of all governments and stop all violence on a global scale. Cartels and terrorism would cease to exist immediately. Story 62. Fly to the edge of space. Perhaps Lois Lane. Fly to Gotham. Catch up with Batman. Race against the Flash. Also, save the world right now. Story 63. Sleep in as late as I want because who is going to tell me otherwise? Then I would probably fly myself and my puppy down to a developing country and take charge. Make everything free. Encourage overeating. Maybe playfully tease a priest. Nothing too outrageous. Story 64. Seriously, I would probably spend several months to a couple of years gathering information on various high-level matters to understand what is happening. From there, I might take action or choose not to, depending on what I learn and how I feel about it. Story 65. Fly around the world, then visit my ex-situationship to sing, I have come here having defeated the whole world. Story 66. It's unfortunate that they don't possess Superman's decency. Just consider how selfish the average person can be. People steal, start wars, and allow others to starve. This situation could easily deteriorate. Story 67. Build an impenetrable fortress inside the moon. Host a lively party with a carefully selected group of people, who I hope will survive the trip. Story 68. Fly into the sun. Fly to see what is on the dark side of the moon, and fly to Mars just to see what is there. I guess I will explore the solar system first, not reveal myself to the public, and live a quiet life. Story 69. Actually, if my abilities included exceptional intelligence, I might work to incarcerate corporate criminals and politicians involved in insider trading. Story 70. Explore the world. Then, when I have done or seen everything I wanted or become bored with it, I will take supreme executive powers. Story 71. Have a nice, long, impactful talk with a group of world leaders. What are they going to do? Not listen to a guy hovering 10 feet off the ground? Story 72. I recently moved across the country for work. I would fly home to visit my mom, dad, and sister. It would be great, and I could return the same day for my shift tomorrow. Story 73. I would fly to my parents' house for breakfast. I would visit my brothers and their families. I would fly to the highest mountain tops to watch the sun rise and set. Story 74. Well, I wouldn't, because I would be evil and do evil things. So it's best not to give them to me. Have you ever seen Android 17 and 18 in the Trunks timeline? Yes, I have. Story 75. Probably not much, to be honest. I don't really have a use for his powers. Being able to fly is nice. I don't need to worry about a car getting me from point A to point B anymore. I'm already plenty strong. Laser gaze. I genuinely don't need that. X-ray vision? I don't know what I would even use that for. It's not like I lose my remote in the couch because I never sit on the couch. Story 76. Transform the government by rebuilding it with capable individuals. Instill a sense of accountability in the upcoming generation of politicians, ensuring that wrongdoing has consequences. Essentially, become a strong force for positive change, correcting those who act unjustly and actively fostering a better environment for all. Story 77. Take messenger RNA vaccines that instruct DNA to produce kryptonite nanoparticles to induce antibodies against it. This trains my body to become immune to kryptonite in due time. Story 78. Communicate with governments worldwide and urge them to address corruption and the abuse of power. Advocate for increased taxation on billionaires and emphasize the importance of serving the common people by providing free healthcare and education. Assuming access to advanced technology, utilize it to develop affordable energy sources, research diseases, and tackle climate change, or establish a research organization with substantial resources to pursue these objectives. Eliminate all crime through necessary measures. Govern the planet. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.